Picture a woman putting on her makeup every single morning for years, and every single application is quietly poisoning her. Not metaphorically, literally. Lead, straight onto her skin, straight into her blood. Right now, the makeup in your bathroom is tested, regulated, and, if it's sold legally, free of lead. You probably never think about what's actually inside it. For thousands of years, that was never true. The eyeliner that made ancient Egyptians look striking, and the white powder that made Roman women look pale and flawless, both had the same secret ingredient: lead. Not by accident. Someone had to invent the chemistry to make it, and almost nobody who wore it had any idea it was killing them slowly, one perfect face at a time. I'm Nerlin, and I went down this rabbit hole expecting a story about vanity. I came out thinking about how something can be dangerous and completely invisible at the same time. So let's start with the eyes.
In ancient Egypt, both men and women lined their eyes with a black paste called kohl. Not occasionally, every day for over 5,000 years across every level of society, from farmers to pharaohs. For a long time, people assumed it was just crushed minerals. And early on, some of it really was, like the green paste made from malachite. But in 2010, scientists at the Louvre in Paris analyzed dozens of ancient kohl samples with advanced chemistry equipment. And they found something nobody expected. Some of the lead compounds inside it don't occur naturally anywhere near Egypt. The Egyptians had to manufacture them, mixing lead, salt, and water and waiting weeks for the reaction to finish. This wasn't a lucky rock they picked up. It was a deliberate chemical process. And here's the twist that makes it stranger. In a lab, those same lead compounds triggered a reaction in skin cells that fights off certain bacteria. So some researchers now think the Egyptians might have been using kohl to help protect their eyes from infection in a hot, dusty, disease-heavy environment, whether they understood the chemistry or not. I want to be honest with you here. That's a theory based on one lab experiment, not a proven fact. Scientists themselves say the full picture is still being worked out. But even in the best-case version of this story, they were protecting themselves with the exact same substance that, in a different form, would go on poisoning people for generation after generation. Now go to Rome, centuries later. The trend wasn't dark eyes, it was pale, flawless skin. And the way you got it was a substance called cerussa, white lead. Making it was simple and completely intentional. You hung thin sheets of lead over jars of fermenting vinegar, sealed the container, and waited. The fumes corroded the metal into a fine white powder over several weeks. Mixed with water or fat, it became the base of Roman makeup, and the Romans were not ignorant about what lead could do. The writer Pliny the Elder, who described this exact recipe himself, flatly called white lead a deadly poison in his own writings. He even noted that workers who handled raw lead covered their faces with loose bags so they wouldn't breathe in the dust. So the danger wasn't a secret. It was known, written down, and ignored, because pale skin meant something valuable. A life spent indoors, away from the sun, away from manual labor. It was a mark of status. The satirist Juvenal even mocked Roman women publicly for it, writing that they wanted their faces whiter than snow, painted with chalk and white lead. People openly joked about the habit, and they kept doing it anyway. Quick question for the comments. Knowing what you know right now, would you still have worn it if everyone around you did too? Here's the part that turns this from a bad choice into a trap. Lead white didn't just sit quietly on the skin. It reacted with sweat and natural oils, slowly corroding the skin underneath, causing breakouts, sores, and scarring. And the only way Roman women knew to cover damaged, scarred skin was to apply even more of the same poison that had caused it in the first place. The poet Ovid even wrote out recipes for face treatments that called for adding white lead directly into the mixture. The cure and the disease were the very same jar. Personally, I think that's the most unsettling part of this whole story. Not that people wore poison, but that the damage it caused pushed them to use more of it, not less. We know today, without any doubt, exactly what this does to a body. According to the World Health Organization, there is no safe level of lead exposure. At high levels, it damages the brain and nervous system, causing seizures and death. Even low ongoing exposure causes memory problems, high blood pressure, kidney damage, stomach pain, and in pregnant women, miscarriage and preterm birth. None of that was visible under a layer of white powder. That was the whole problem. You're probably thinking this is a problem we solved a long time ago. It isn't. A product called kohl, or cerussa, made in exactly the same way, with lead as one of its main ingredients, is still sold today, mostly imported from South Asia and the Middle East. In some tested samples, lead made up more than half the weight of the product. It's so widely recognized as dangerous that the U.S. Food and Drug Administration actively blocks it at the border under the names kohl, kajal, and cerussa. Researchers have found the same lead-based products quietly for sale online in Europe too, including cases in France linked to prolonged use. And it still reaches families. In 2024, health officials in New York documented a case. A mother and her 4 children exposed for years to a traditional eye cosmetic brought into their home. Blood tests tracked lead levels in the children rising for years, in one child peaking at more than double what's considered concerning. And through most of it, the family showed no obvious symptoms at all. They looked and felt completely fine, while the poison quietly built up in their blood, exactly like it did in the ancient world. Second question for the comments. Had you ever heard that this kind of makeup is still sold and still poisoning people today? So here's what this whole story really comes down to. This was never really about vanity, and it was never really about ignorance either. It was about a poison that had no smell, no taste, and no immediate symptoms. Invisible in every way that mattered. In a jar that also happened to make you beautiful. That combination was, and still is, exactly what makes it so dangerous. The chemistry hasn't changed since the ancient world. Only the label on the jar has. So go back to your own bathroom, right now, and think about everything sitting on that shelf. For most of human history, the thing that made you look your best could also be the thing quietly killing you, and you would have no way of knowing until it was far too late. I'll be honest, I look at every bottle on a bathroom shelf a little differently now. So tell me, genuinely down in the comments, of everything here, what disturbed you the most? The eyeliner, the white lead, or that it's still happening today? I read every single one. I'm Nerlin. See you in the next one.